Well, first of all, let me thank Emeka for, as a matter of fact, TED Global for putting this conference together. And this conference is going to rank as the most important in the beginning of the 21st century. Think African governments will put together a conference like this? You think the AU will put together a conference like this? Even before they do that, they will ask for foreign aid. I will also like to pay homage and honor to the TED Fellows. I call them the Cheetah Generation. The Cheetah Generation is the new breed of Africans who brook no nonsense about corruption. They understand what accountability and democracy is. They're not going to wait for government to do things for them. That's the Cheetah Generation. And Africa's salvation rests on the backs of these cheetahs. In contrast, of course, we have the Hippo Generation. The Hippo Generation are the ruling elites. They are stuck in their intellectual patch, complaining about colonialism and imperialism. They wouldn't move one foot. You ask them to reform their economies, they're not going to reform it because they benefit from the rotten status quo. Now, there are a lot of Africans who are very angry at the condition of Africa. Now, we're talking about a continent which is not poor. It is rich in mineral resources, natural mineral resources. But the mineral wealth of Africa is not being utilized to lift its people out of poverty. That's what makes a lot of Africans very angry. And in a way, Africa is more than a tragedy in more ways than one. There's another enduring tragedy, and that tragedy is there are so many people, so many governments, so many organizations who want to help the people in Africa they don't understand. Now, we're not saying don't help Africa. Helping Africa is noble. But helping Africa has been turned into a theater of the absurd. It's like the blind leading the clueless. There are certain things that we need to recognize. Africa's begging bowl leaks. Did you know that 40% of the wealth created in Africa is not invested here in Africa? It's taken out of Africa. That's what the World Bank says. Look at Africa's begging bowl. It leaks horribly. There are people who think that we should pour more money, more aid into this bowl which leaks. What are the leakages? Corruption alone costs Africa $148 billion a year. Yeah, put that aside. Capital flight out of Africa, $80 billion a year. Put that aside. Let's take food imports. Every year, Africa spends $20 billion to import food. Just add that up. All these leakages. That's far more than the $50 billion Tony Blair wants to raise for Africa. Now, back in the 1960s, Africa not only fed itself, it also exported food. Not anymore. We know that something has gone fundamentally wrong. You know it, I know it. But let's not waste our time talking about these mistakes because we'll spend all day here. Let's move on and flip over to the next chapter, to the next chapter, to the next chapter, to the next chapter.